Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming. Today are for you guys after this workshop to recognize that there is a difference between English spelling and pronunciation. Okay. So for example, the word pronunciation doesn't have a T sound. So perfect example. We also want you to begin to use the International Phonetic Alphabet symbols to identify sound differences. And we're going to go into this special alphabet a little bit later. We're going to discuss and you're going to have the opportunity to practice suprasegmentals or intonation. We're going to work on the articulation of vowels and to a lesser extent consonants, and to apply principles of English sentence stress, rhythm, and linking. Actually, this is a lot. I'm not really sure we're going to get to linking, but that's our goal. Review the rules for linking and blending sounds. And we're going to give you some resources so that you can continue to work on these skills. Because frankly, it would be very, very difficult to actually improve your pronunciation in an hour and 15 minutes. This is something where you're going to have to self-study. Okay. So we would really like to know who is here with us today. And so we don't want to spend too much time on the icebreaker, but we do want to hear from you guys. So we'd like to know your name, your native language, and where in the world you're studying for spring 2021. So my name is Dr. Murphy. My native language is English, and I am in the Lehigh Valley. So could I hear from Jinfeng first?
Sure, yes, yeah. I am Jinfeng Li. My native language is Chinese. Yes, I'm also in the Lehigh Valley.
Thank you, Jinfeng.
Sure.
Let's hear from Chris next.
Chris Samuel Maynard. My native language is English, although I was born in the Caribbean. And I will be studying in the Lehigh Valley, although I live in the Poconos.
Ms. Cusimano also lives in the Poconos.
You're in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Chinue?
Everyone, yeah, my name is Xin Yue, and my native language is Chinese as well. And in spring 2021, I will be studying in Lehigh Valley. So this is my second year at Lehigh.
Thank you, Chinue. Let's hear from Lisa next.
Hi everyone, my name is Li. My native language is also Chinese, and I plan to study fully remote in China in spring 2021.
Thank you, Li. So what time is it right now where you are?
It's 9:06 a.m.
Okay, all right. So someone asked why we had it at this time. This is why, so that Lee could join us. Thank you, Lee. Han Ying?
Hi, this is Han Ying, and I speak Chinese, and I'm a new postdoc this year at Lehigh.
So you're physically here in the Lehigh Valley?
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you, Han Ying.
Nice to meet you.
Teresa and Caroline, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'll go first. My name is Teresa Cusimano. I'm one of the iCape instructors. My native language is English, and I will be teaching fully remote this spring semester from the Poconos.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline Neal. I work in the Office of International Students and Scholars, and I'm actually doing a certificate in teaching English as a foreign language. So thank you for including me. And I am currently in the Lehigh Valley, and my native language is English.
Thank you, Caroline, and thanks for joining us. Okay, we're going to jump right into it because like I said, there's a lot of ground to cover. But if you have a question, please interrupt me. Okay. I will not be mad. I will be delighted. So interrupt me. Teresa, maybe you could monitor the chat.
I will do that. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So what is pronunciation? So there's a lot of different aspects of it. So on the outside, kind of the first thing that the brain recognizes are vowels, consonants, these sounds. We call these segmentals. They're the segments of language, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. There's also suprasegmentals, which is rhythm, intonation, the linking and blending, stress. We're going to talk a lot more about that. And you need both of these in order to have clear communication, okay? So the thing with English is that unlike some other languages, there isn't a alphabet, a one-to-one correspondence between the letter as it's written and the sound that comes out. So a lot of students are taught if you see an A, then you pronounce it ah or ah, and this is simply false. So English actually only has 5 vowel letters, but we have between 15 and 17 vowel sounds depending on your dialect of English. So here we have several different examples of a few different ways to pronounce the letter A. You have jack, about, share, air, a. The R changes the vowel. Private, it, yacht, ah, that's kind of the classic ah sound. Football, that's almost reduced to nothing there. And cable, a. So we have all these different A's and you don't pronounce any of them the same. So we have a sentence, for example, like Jack was about to share his private yacht with his football coach. Here's an A that's even pronounced O. When he received a cable informing him that the engine needed repair. So this is very, very difficult for students, but what you have to do is learn to listen to how other people are pronouncing these words and almost ignoring how it's written. Is that surprising? Is that did anyone not know this?
It's not surprising to me.
Okay, good.
It's confusing, right?
Yeah, it's confusing.
It is confusing, and we're going to show you a resource. Actually, I guess I might as well show you right now. So this is a great resource for if you don't know how to pronounce a word. And even native speakers sometimes don't know how to pronounce a word. I remember I would read words and then try to pronounce them, and people would laugh at me because I didn't know how to pronounce it. So even I, a native speaker, need to look up how to pronounce some words. So here's an example. How would you guys think, how would you guess that you would pronounce this word?
Well, if I looked at it, it'd be debris, but it's debris.
Right. So how did you know that it's debris though, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, growing up, in the Caribbean, looking at some of the words and stuff, both my parents are English speaking, from English speaking countries. And where I grew up in the United States Virgin Islands, it's the American way of speaking English. So I had to do in between the American English and the English, so it was always different, but I was always interested in the way words were, said. And so I always look up pronunciations and go through, all of those kind of things. So yeah, so these are like always interesting to me that you look at a word and the way that they taught you how to break it down and pronounce it is totally different from what it looks like on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. So Youglish is where they take YouTube. It's like YouTube for English, okay? So let's say that Christine was wondering, is the US way of pronouncing this word the same as the British way? So she could toggle to US.
Debris, most of which is too small.
And you get, they have 3,744 examples, and you can hear lots of different people in context saying these words.
All right, so how did Samsung fix the debris thing? Well,
So I strongly recommend, I would really hope that you would, if you see a word and you're not sure how to pronounce it, especially if you're going to give a presentation, if you're a teaching assistant, if there's some kind of high stakes, you know, if you're in a class and you want to speak in front of the class, go to Youglish and look up, you know, how does this word sound? Because you can't actually just figure it out from how it's written. So we're going to watch a very brief clip, okay? We're not going to watch the whole thing. This is Rachel, and she has a video series called Rachel's English, which can be very helpful for you. I'm going to show you this also in a few minutes.
The IPA is especially handy when studying English because English is not a phonetic language. This means when you see a letter or a group of letters, it will not necessarily always be pronounced the same in each word in which it occurs, just as in the example at the beginning of this video. The IPA has a written symbol for each phonetic sound, so this makes it easier to read about and write about pronunciation. As a student of pronunciation, it's important that you become familiar with the symbols that represent the sounds of American English. The ah sound. Say that with me. Ah.
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 This sound occurs in words like father, hot, body. Ah. The IPA is especially handy when...
Pause. Okay, so she is going over the IPA, the International...
The IPA...
Stop it. The International Phonetic Alphabet, okay? So, you know, you can see these really strange things. These are letters that we don't have in the English alphabet, but it's in the International Phonetic Alphabet. So these are all of the vowels in English. So this is the vowel E. So actually, this is a diagram of the mouth. And they can measure where in the mouth we make vowels from. Okay, and so this is high, and over here is front, meaning up close to your teeth. And here in the back, this is like at the base of your tongue. Okay, so we have the front high vowel E, and then moving down I, E, A, I, ah, ah, aw, o, oo. Okay. I actually don't, it depends on dialect, and not all of these are actually going to be.
Actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I found it's green, a blue. It's a blue heart and a red heart at the bottom right corner.
Okay, so these are going to differ based on dialect. Okay, so a lot. So see, some people who speak one dialect of English will pronounce it this way, and someone else who speaks another dialect of English will pronounce it this way. So these are slightly different, and this is part of those dialect differences that Chris was talking about. Okay. We're going to give you some resources to where you can just click on these and go to audio files. Is that okay, Jinfeng?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And next. So here's some more examples. I as in bit, E as in beat, as in book, U as in boot, E as in bed, A as in bat, A as in hot, Ba as in bought. This is, it's not one of my, it's not in my dialect. I'm faking this one. In about, O as in boat, A as in bait, Ow as in out mouth, Oi as in choice, and I as in rice. Okay.
I think it's interesting, Ashley, too, that the aw, Ashley said that's not in her dialect, but I grew up in the North, and in my dialect, that would be a very common sound, right? So if you ever hear anyone from New York and they pronounce like the word coffee, coffee, right? That aw, right? So that is a, Christy's laughing. Yes, my New York comes out every now and then. Right?
And so I took these examples from what they call general American, but there's a lot of different American dialects, and, you know, not everyone will have, you know, all of these. Okay, it gets very complicated. So vowels, different languages have different vowels. And so these again are those English vowels with this diagram of the mouth. And I just picked Korean language. They have some vowels that we don't have in English. So for example, this one, okay, ui, you kind of smile and then you make an oo, e. If Teresa ever watched MASH, did you ever see MASH?
Mm-hmm.
You remember they were in Uijeongbu?
A long time ago.
All right, anyway, so your native language probably has different vowels than English. And English has a lot of vowels comparatively. Hawaiian only has 5 vowel sounds. So, you know, if English has more vowels than your native language, you're gonna have to learn how to contort your mouth into doing some weird stuff, okay? Like I did when I learned Korean and I had to learn how to say, e, right? So we're just gonna have some tongue twisters. We're gonna put you into, gosh, we have so few people.
I was thinking, actually, we have 3 and 3. So if you, Caroline, and I split up with 2 people each, I think that would work.
Okay. Well, we just got Chi Yao. Chi Yao came in. Hi, Chi Yao.
Hello.
So we're going to try to pronounce all the vowel sounds in the tongue twisters, okay? So let's see.
Do you want me to assign manually?
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
please. So we're gonna put you guys into breakout rooms, and I want you to practice these 2 sentences, which have a lot of different vowel sounds in them. So I'm going to copy and paste these 2 tongue twisters that we have into the chat while Teresa puts us into our small groups, okay?
Okay, so I'm going to open all rooms and then I will join room 3 after everyone goes in, okay?
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. Akari?
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Akari.
Hi.
If you like after the workshop, because they're just coming out of breakout rooms, but if you like after the workshop, I could hang on for a minute and just get you, go over some of the things that we talked about before you came in.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And we'll share all the materials with you. We were just talking about vowel sounds when you came. We were talking about in the breakout rooms, Ashley, how to use that chart you gave to practice with the tongue twisters, right? So like knowing where the sounds were coming from and being more conscious of how you're making the sounds. That was a good resource. You're muted.
We had a good question in our group. We started going through the minimal pairs. You might have seen I posted in the chat some words where the only difference between the words is the vowel in the middle. So we had some really good discussion about that.
Caroline, did your group have any questions or anything while they were in the breakout room?
No, the only thing that we talked about was what's a bloke.
Oh, that's an English word, right?
Yeah, that's what I was like, I hope I'm right, but that's what I mentioned, that we wouldn't usually use that in the United States. We would probably say like that guy over there, that man over there. Bloke is very like UK English. And so when I read that, I was like, wait, is this a bloke? Like what I'm thinking a bloke is, or did I miss something? So to my group, it is a man. It's like slang.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So the individual sounds, what are called segmentals, those vowels and consonants, that's just something that you need to practice if those are difficult for you, or if there's a sound that is not in your native language. And one good way to practice those individual sounds is this website, Rachel's English. So she has all these different videos, okay? So IPA alphabet and letters, she'll go through all the different sounds of English. And then in our group, we had some questions like about the vowel I and the difference between the vowel E. And so she has a whole video on each of the major vowels in English. And then she also, she doesn't have it here. I don't know where you'd find it, but she also has these videos where she compares the two sounds, where she says I, E, so that you can see the difference.
You can find them on YouTube, Ashley. I'm sorry, they're on YouTube.
Yeah, she's great. It's very helpful. And then I want to get something to show you guys.
Rachel's English is a really good resource. At the end of the workshop too, we have a slide with all of these materials, and you can also find them on the iCape page too that I'll give you.
Another great way to practice is these little mirrors, okay? Or if you have a makeup mirror, so you just look at your mouth and you can watch Rachel as she does these videos, and then you can look at yourself, E, because you really have to look at the shape your mouth is making in order to pronounce, especially the vowel, correctly. But there's so much more to clear speech than just pronouncing, okay? We also stress certain words. So I just introduced a new word, stress. I paused before and after, and I said it louder and longer. That is stress, and it's part of making meaning in English. This is just a quick diagram. Suprasegmental features are, you know, intonation, stress, length, okay? And it's part of how our brain processes language. So if you aren't stressing individual words, it's going to be a lot harder for people to understand you. So this is something that we're going to ask you guys. Can you tell what the problem is in each sentence? Okay, so these are 4 sentences with identical words, but when you stress different parts of the sentence, it changes the meaning.
It could take a little bit of thinking too, because it took me a minute to like kind of, figure out what it was myself even as a native speaker.
So I'm going to read these and I want you guys to figure out what's the problem. Okay, there's a problem in a coffee shop and the problem's different depending on which word you stress. Okay.
Just shout it out.
I asked for 2 large coffees to go. What's the problem with that sentence? If you're in a coffee shop and you say, I asked for 2 large coffees to go.
Describe as a large cup or a smaller cup.
Well, but if you're stressing 2, I asked for 2 large coffees to go.
Two. No, my understanding is you may pronounce the 2 and the other 2. I mean, 2 large. That's what I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. It was like, it's too large. So it's like, you're asking for 2 large. I'm like, it's not the number anymore. It's like, almost like it's too large.
You want me to try it? I asked for 2 large coffees to go. Right? So if I went to the counter and I said, excuse me.
For 2.
I asked for 2 large coffees to go. Is it the pause? Do you need the pause there to help?
No.
What is the problem, do you think? How many coffees? Go ahead.
Too long. It's just 2, so why is the stress on the number?
Maybe they gave the wrong number of coffees.
Got
okay.
1. Right? They only gave me 1.
Okay, I got you.
Okay. I got you.
Let's try the next one. I asked for 2 large coffees to go.
You got a small.
No, it's too small and I wanted large.
Yeah. There we go.
Next one. I asked for 2 large coffees to go.
They didn't give me coffee, they gave me cappuccino.
Yeah. And then finally, I asked for 2 large coffees to go.
I wanted it to go and you gave it to me so I can sit down in the restaurant and drink it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So the point is that there's a lot of meaning in stress, in which words in a sentence are stressed. Okay, so this is where English might differ from some other people, from other languages, okay? In general, and this is an over generalization, okay? I have a PhD in linguistics and it almost hurts me to generalize like this, but in general, languages can be syllable time. Every syllable gets more or less the same stress or emphasis. Okay, that's syllable timed where for the most part, every syllable has the same amount of time and the same emphasis, okay? But not English. English is a stress timed language. And so you stress the important words, okay? The new words, but you don't stress all syllables. So we have beats in English. Some people I've heard say that English sounds like a song, like we're singing. That comes from these beats and from the intonation. So this is just a little, yeah, anyway. So for example, some people stress all of the words or syllables. And from an English speaking syllable, from a stress time perspective, that is very difficult to understand. Do you guys hear the difference? Okay. And then this is just a quick illustration. So pronunciation is important. So I didn't stress all of these syllables. Pronunciation is important. We don't talk like that. I don't know how to read this. Is there anyone here who would volunteer?
Yeah, it's Chinese characters. You want me to say that in Chinese? Or,
Yes, please.
Okay. 发音很重要.
Thank you. That was very clear how every syllable had the same emphasis. That was perfect. So here's one way to practice this. Take a rubber band, okay? And I'm serious. I mean, like physically go get a rubber band, okay? If you're like me, you'll always have hair ties around. You can do it with a hair tie, okay? So you take the rubber band and you practice stress by stretching the rubber band on the important words. Okay? Does this sound like fun? Okay, I would like for, I think that we have enough time to go into the small groups again. If you don't have a rubber band, that's okay. You can stand up and on the stress, you move up on your tippy toes and move your hands to emphasize. And I know that I look a little silly, but this is just to practice emphasizing, okay? So you have two choices right now. You can go get a rubber band or a hair tie, something that you can stretch, or you can stand up. And we're going to practice in small groups. Everyone is going to practice maybe for 5 minutes,
Okay.
doing the stretching or standing up and gesturing. You can use any sentence you want, okay? You can.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley. I was gonna say, if you want to take a screenshot or a shot with your camera of even dogs eat bones, they eat bones, right? So that you have those sentences to practice if that makes it easier in the breakout rooms.
Okay, you can also just make up, you know, like,
Yeah.
today I ate meatballs, for example. Any questions about what we're doing?
Everybody good? Okay, give me 1 second. I am recreating.
Go get your hair ties or rubber bands, everybody.
And then I will join in room 1 and once everybody goes in, okay?
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. Okay, so they should all be back in a few seconds. Their room will be closing. Akari, where are you located? Are you in Lehigh Valley?
No, I'm in Japan at home right now.
Okay. What time is it there?
It's almost 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so that's not too bad. I don't mind 11. It's when I have to do 8 or 9 a.m. that I can. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
thank
don't like early morning classes.
you.
So how did it go?
We tried. It's just another technique, another tip to just practice. You find what works for you.
I made Lee stand up and go up on his tippy toes and do the gesturing. And we had some smaller humans join our breakout room, and we got them to practice things like 9 is your bedtime. So that was a lot of fun.
Ashley,
Yes.
I had mentioned in my group, because we talked about how it can be a little difficult to, learn how to read like longer sentences and like what to stress, and how like when I was younger here in school, like we would practice in school, like as my native language, of like how to read a paragraph out loud and how to pause, and that it does take practice. And like even when I was younger, we had to practice in school to be able to how to read and know how to say different things. So it's okay to practice. Everyone needs to.
Absolutely. That's so true. Thank you, Caroline. So which words do you stress? So we usually stress content words which carry information, right? So just right here, I stressed, the introduction, new information, things that I hadn't said before. But I'm going to say more quickly and not stress things that we've already been over, okay? And then we have function words in English, words that sometimes people who are learning English, they don't even hear them because we reduce them so much. So the word a, we'll reduce it, and that changes the vowel to okay, a lot, okay? And the pronouns she, her, it, they. Auxiliary verbs are things like is, are, be. We reduce them so much, sometimes it sounds like they're not even there at all. And prepositions. So in a lot of these function words, the vowel sounds are reduced and they become, so there's a vowel called the schwa, it's the laziest vowel. You just totally relax your jaw muscles. Let's all practice saying the schwa, okay? Relax and just let it hang. That's the schwa. We reduce it to just this sound, okay? So the last content word in a thought group, we haven't introduced thought groups yet, but they receive the most stress. Now, one thing that's really, really interesting about English is that because we're timing it based on stress, we can add in more of these reduced words or syllables, and it doesn't change the amount of time that we take. So even though this sentence down here is longer in terms of how many words are there and perhaps how complex the verb tense is, I will say it in the same amount of time, the same number of seconds that I'll say the first one. So I would like a volunteer to time me. You can take out your cell phone or go to a website, and you're going to time me as I say these 5 sentences. Who wants to volunteer to be my timer? Norman.
Oh, Norman's doing it good.
Okay, Norman, are you ready to time me when I say the first sentence? Okay. Kids play ball. How many seconds was that? Do you need me to go again?
Yeah, 1 second, 84 milli. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
1.84, yeah.
Second one. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
The kids play ball.
1.57 seconds.
Okay. Next one. The kids are playing ball.
1.31 seconds.
Oh, I'm going a little bit faster. Okay, yeah. Next one. The kids are playing with the ball.
It's 1.4.
Okay, so that's about the same as these two. The longest one, ready? The kids have been playing with the ball.
2.16.
Oh. So this is a fun exercise. Does it surprise you that even though this one is only 3 words and this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words, that it takes approximately the same amount of time to say. Is that surprising?
I don't think so, because I think the first one you're putting emphasis on all the words, and then in all the other ones you're taking emphasis off of some words like the thes and the withs and the, so you're taking emphasis off of them, so they're like going by, so you're still thinking that you're saying kids play ball.
You are 100% correct. Chris, you were in another workshop of mine and you were also so on the ball. You're so right.
Oh.
So,
just
okay.
the way you said them just now, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's interesting too, because a lot of times students will say to me that Americans speak really fast. And it's not that we're speaking any faster, it's just that we're not stressing every word. So it sounds like it's coming at you really fast.
Have fun with the ball. With that fast. Because they're playing with the ball. Because they're playing with the ball. Because they're playing with the ball. Because they're playing with the ball.
I love that you're trying it out. Does anyone else want to try to say these words, and maybe Norman could time someone else? Chiao, Akari, Jinfang, Lee.
Who's Lee?
Lee doesn't,
Read all of this
Lee doesn't show.
There's Lee.
Yeah, so he doesn't show. Yeah.
Jinfang, would you like to try these?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay. Norman, are you ready to time Jinfang?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Kids play ball.
That was 1.37.
The kids play ball.
1.30.
The kids are playing the. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I do that again? The kids are playing ball.
1.54.
The kids are playing with the ball.
Oh, sorry, I didn't start. Can you repeat? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. The kids are playing with the ball.
Oh, 1.6.
The last one. The kids have been playing with the ball.
2.9.
Good practices. It's a good way to just practice and get your word stress and see how you're doing it.
Before you speak in class or give a presentation, it's a good idea to underline the words that you might want to stress, or, you know, we have it here in bold, but you could do it. I've seen people literally make those words bigger, put it in a bigger font. It's very good, because you don't want to speak like this. This is very difficult to understand. Chris, you're laughing at me.
Because I've heard people actually speak that way. And I'm like, can we move it on? Get you know, get with what you're saying, because I'm already tuned out, you know, so. Yeah.
It takes a lot of listener effort to listen when someone is stressing all the words equally. And Chris, thank you so much for saying that. Chris had like a negative reaction to people speaking English in a syllable timed way. And people will judge you negatively based on your intonation. So it is very important. Okay.
Basically what you just did, Ashley. So I don't know if you want to go through the whole thing. It's up to you.
Let's try it out.
Hi, welcome to Bill's English. Today we're going to talk about English word stress. And we're going to focus on function words and content words. Now, you may not have heard these terms before, but I'll give you an example. So function words are words like articles, prepositions, verb endings, auxiliary verbs. Okay, so these words, they don't get stressed in English. So if you are speaking and you stress them, then it's going to make your pronunciation a little bit unnatural. Content words, on the other hand, are words like nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs. These words will receive stress and the vowel will be a strong vowel. They will have at least one strong vowel in these words. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So John has been working all night. Here we have 4 content words. Okay, so John, work, all, and night. These are the content words, and we would stress them. Okay, these are all content words. These words, has and been, and the ing at the end, these are function words, and we don't stress them. So we say, John has been working all night. So this vowel has a strong vowel, this one does, and this one does. But these vowels are a little bit weak, okay? So I can show you another example. So this is John works all night. Every word is a content word, every word is stressed. So in a lot of languages, you add more words to the sentence and it will make the sentence longer. But in English, you have to add content words to the sentence to make it sound longer. If you add function words, the sentence isn't going to sound longer. So compare this one to the next one. John works all night. John is at work all night. John works all night. John is at work all night. So in this case, you have these strong vowels here, but then these vowels are weak.
So we're going to
All right,
send.
welcome to Bill's English.
Hey,
Today we're gonna
Bill,
talk-
stop it. Okay, so we're going to send out this PowerPoint and you can watch the rest of that. This is just another illustration. So when you speak in a syllable times manner, then it's like we don't know, our brains don't know what to focus on. But when you stress certain words, it like highlights your meaning for the listener. I want to, Teresa, do you want to talk about thought groups? Can you?
Sure. Yeah, I don't mind. So if you want to go back even to that previous slide, Ashley, we'll just review for what a thought group is so that we can kind of go back to that one for a minute. So do we have the slide on the thought groups? The definition of a thought group? Okay. Oh, I thought I saw another one. Okay. So a thought group is a group of words which go together to express an idea or thought. So in English, it almost sounds sometimes when you're practicing it, you can make it sounds kind of choppy. But what it is even if someone is stopping for a moment, like a slight pause, it's sometimes even people do it just to catch a breath. But it's an emphasis in the sentence and it creates that rhythm. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in English like that, how when we speak, it goes up and down, right? So first, check to make sure that your seatbelt is secure. So first, right, that thought group first, that pause it, check to make sure that your seatbelt is secure, right? There's those pauses in the thought group. Do you want to go on to the thought group section, Ashley, and we can go back to blending and reduced speech? So what I've done here is just to kind of show you very quickly, this is only at 2 minutes. I don't know if Ashley, even if you want to play the whole thing, but this is a really great TED Talk that shows how we kind of have those pauses, those thought groups where the stress will fall on the main word in the thought group. And typically, the stress word is going to be the final word in the thought group. So let's just listen to how she does it and what kind of impact that has on when she speaks.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Teresa. I didn't mean to.
Oh.
This was a good.
I'm a storyteller, and I would like to tell you a few personal stories about what I like to call the danger of the single story. I grew up on a university campus in Eastern Nigeria. My mother says that I started reading at the age of 2, although I think 4 is probably close to the truth. So I was an early reader, and what I read were British and American children's books. I was also an early writer. And when I began to write at about the age of 7, stories in pencil with crayon illustrations that my poor mother was obligated to read, I wrote exactly the kinds of stories I was reading.
That's, wow, I really want to watch the rest because tell the direction she's going in. That's interesting.
It's a wonderful.
It was a really good TED Talk.
It is.
Yeah.
The whole TED Talk is there for you to listen to, but what is illustrated here is if you notice how when she's speaking, the pauses in her sentences and the stress where she's landing her stress on her thought groups.
Mhm.
That kind of creates that paucity, that rhythm in English language. When I don't know if you are, am I explaining it clearly? Okay, all right. So these, these are broken down. I mean, there's other ways that we kind of reduce our words. So what we're creating, the rhythm is not just in the thought groups, but if you want to flip back, Ashley, one moment. So some of the other things that we do is we blend our language, right? So words become blended together in English, which I think is another reason why it sometimes sounds like we are speaking really fast, right? Like, what are you doing? What are you, right? Instead of what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? That's blending. And then we have reduced speech. Consonants, which I think most people are comfortable with. Not often do students have a lot of confusion, I think, with consonants like cannot, can't, right? Will not, right? Won't. I think the consonants are pretty, most students get. The colloquial English, however, I do think is interesting. So now I always like talking to Caroline because she uses one that we don't use in New York. I see a lot of y'all. What are you all doing? And in New York, you would get, what are you guys doing? Use. So I love listening to the colloquial, those reductions in colloquial language because I think it's so interesting and it's very regional in the United States. Ashley uses some different ones too. But,
Yeah.
And being from the Caribbean, I use a whole lot of them.
do you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of one off the top of your head?
You say you all, we say are you. So we have different things because we have like, I guess what you call in America, you might call it what, broken English or dialect. And so we have lots of dialectal things that kind of smudge together and say one word versus it being two words.
That's exactly what we do. We kind of push them all together. And then too, it's some of it is because of the way the words fall, right? So on one of the slides, I think moving forward, we have here an example of how different word endings, so a consonant to a vowel, right? Words will blend, right? So win, instead of did you win it, right? Did you win it? We wouldn't stress. Or
come on.
Yes, come on, right? Sounds like one word, come on. That silent H, give her, give her, give him, give it to, right? Give it to her. Vowel, some people say this is sloppy English too, right? So sometimes I know myself, if I was maybe speaking somewhere more formally, I would definitely be more careful in how I'm speaking. And I also think, I don't know, Ashley, if you would agree with me, but working with non-native speakers, I think I'm also more careful when I enunciate to do that a little bit more carefully. So I try not to use that English in the classroom. Vowel to vowel, just say it, right? Grow up, right? It sounds like one word, we put them all together. And then Ashley had mentioned that schwa. What are you gonna, right? Gonna is a schwa instead of going to, that at the end, gonna, right? It's up to him. Instead of it's up to him, it's up to him, the schwa.
In Texas, we'd say it's up to y'all.
Y'all.
So I think it's harder to learn how to reduce sounds. So a lot of times when you're learning another language, you focus on making those vowel sounds as clear as you can. I want to go to the park. And to learn, to kind of unlearn that, to learn to reduce it to that lazy schwa is so hard. I really think that reducing is a lot harder than stressing.
I'm kind of curious if
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No, because growing up, I had I had to do dialect in English. You know, my mother was very strict about speaking English in the house. You know, you can't speak dialect in her house. You have to speak perfect English, you know. So, but, you know, here, you know, in dialect, you cut off so many of the letters anyway, and they all come together. But it's harder, I think, to be very specific with your words than to speak it in dialect, you know. So so I'm always like very careful. Well, it's always been a thing in the Caribbean. They say you don't speak dialect to where in mixed company is what it is, right? Because not everybody will understand what you're saying. So you tend to be very, you know, conscious of how you speak and what you're saying to whoever is around you, because you want everyone to understand what you're saying, no matter what, you know, language they speak.
You're describing code switching, and that's incredibly complicated and awesome.
Ashley's language now.
Yeah, and it's just something that you do when you come from the Caribbean. I think is that you know how to speak it in dialect because that's what you spoke all your life growing up. But when you go to school, you have to speak the King's English, as my mother would call it, because everyone needs to understand what you're saying, and you have to be very specific, and you have to be very conscious of that. And so, yeah, when it came to America, it was like, okay, I have to speak this way all the time, you know, because no one will understand my dialect unless it's people that, you know, speak that dialect too.
So yeah, that everyone who's bi-dialectal, you know, has to learn how to code switch, or else they're going to lose jobs. They're going to, you know, be made fun of in school. Being bi-dialectal is living in two different worlds that are in one, you know, with one body. Yeah. So that's code switching, and I love it. Thank you so much, Chris. No, stop. Okay. Teacher versus autoplay 1, teacher 0. Okay. So practice blending. This is the last thing that we're going to do. Then we're going to have questions, and then we're done. So I want everyone here to practice blending the boat centered the water. The boat centered the water. Chiao, can I hear you practice this one? The boat centered the water.
Okay. The boat centered the water.
Very good. Right. So we don't pause in between words. Chiao, that was great. So we're going to practice this one now. The coats all need to be washed. Sorry. The coats all need to be cleaned. I'd like to hear from Akari. Akari, would you please try this one?
Yes. The coats all need to be cleaned.
Good. Excellent. She has less of everything. She has less of everything. Norman, would you like to try this one?
Yeah, sure. She has less of everything.
Good.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know why. Yeah, like if I try to combine, let's say the both centers, like, yeah, I don't get it, to be honest. I don't know why. Like if someone says without reading, let's say I'm not reading, yeah, I don't get it. Yeah.
You don't get it, like you wouldn't be able to understand that sentence when it was blended?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can understand that, because even like the boats entered the water, the boats entered the water. It almost sounds like the boat centered the water, right?
I was gonna say the same thing when she said it. I thought it was like centered.
But it depends. So I can understand what you're trying to make sense of what you're hearing. And I can see what you're saying, Norman.
So thank you for that. We just want to give you guys a few resources, because I mean, it's very, very, very hard to improve your pronunciation in only an hour. So we want to give you guys these, So these are your resources, and these can help you to learn. I didn't do this for you guys, but this is a musical instrument called a kazoo, and you can practice that intonation, the thought groups going up and down. You can kind of hear it a little bit better with a kazoo. We have these for free in the iCape office. If this was the before times, not a pandemic, I would give each of you one of these kazoos. I think we have 2 giant bags of them. So if you email me, I will leave it in some space in McGinnis where you can go pick it up, okay? I want to give you one of these. And this is how you do it. I'm going to go back to the thought groups. I'm a storyteller, and I would like to tell you a few personal stories about what I like to call the danger of the single story. So kind of with a kazoo, you can hear that musicality that's going to help people understand you by breaking it into thought groups. It's just a little practice item, okay? Does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to say? Like Norman and Chris, you guys have had some really fantastic things to say. Anyone have any questions or thoughts?
Norman, if you want to practice listening, or anyone, if you are looking to practice the listening, that Learn English Feel Good has some videos that are very helpful. So if you go onto that website, they have, it's at the top, you can choose what you want to work on. So they have different movie clips and things like that. And then there are questions, like 4 or 5 questions. They're very short, 2 or 3 minute clips with 4 or 5 questions to see how well you understood. And I like that website because it tells you which ones you got right or wrong. So you could always go back and re-listen again. And it's, everyday English, conversational English. So that's what I think it's a pretty helpful website. In the chat, I put the survey, Ashley, for everyone.
We would love to hear your thoughts about this, okay? Was there anything in this workshop that was not helpful? Tell us in this anonymous survey and we'll take it out. If you think that the time is great, if you hate the time, whatever you think, tell us, and we're here to help, and we will make changes to help you guys even more.
Anyone have any questions before you go?
You're welcome, Chinue.
Thank you for joining us tonight or this morning, depending upon where you are. I know Akari is in Japan. It's morning there.
Norman, where are you?
Oh, I'm on campus, yeah.
Got to be quiet there, Norman. I was there the other day in Bethlehem and it was so quiet. It was strange.
Norman's going to help me with the new students coming up soon. Yeah.
Good.
Cool beans.
We'll keep them busy. We'll keep you busy.
You know what I really miss about Bethlehem, Norman? The restaurants. I'm in Coopersburg. They don't have restaurants.